Right guys, welcome back to course number 1. Today we are going to be looking at setting up calories from theory to practice. Now the first thing I want you to be very aware of is that no calorie calculator on earth can you punch in your data and it is going to spit out an exact number that is going to create a calorie deficit. Unfortunately, we are very complex human beings, and what I want you to look at is creating a little bit of a start point. And what we'll do from that start point is we'll use a number of different methods to test and learn if you're making progress. So ideally, I like people to start off with a kind of baseline calorie amount. Start tracking your food, start tracking your consumption of calories over the week, and then from there, depending on how you're generally feeling in terms of energy, digestion, movement, how's your weight progressing, then we can start to make an adjustment to this calorie total depending on your progress. So again, just to reiterate, don't get too caught up in that first number. That is purely a baseline, and we're going to use that as a test and learn method from day number 1. But quick recap: weight loss, obviously calorie deficit; weight gain, calorie surplus; and then weight maintenance is when everything is hunky-dory. So you're going to select one of these. For most people, you'll probably be looking to lose a few pounds. It's normally why you're in this sort of program. But again, it is really important just to find a number that is manageable for you and your family. The reason why I keep going back to that family component is because I believe that everything that you're doing needs to work in around your family's lifestyle as well. The reason why all my recipes are fairly family friendly is because I want to make sure that you're not restricting yourself in the way that I done. The way that I felt when, I was sitting at the side eating the wee tuna and the chicken and rice and the Tupperware and the family's enjoying a big meal. It doesn't need to be like that, and that's exactly what I try and push on all my clients, is that I want you actually enjoying real food along the way. I want you sitting down with the family. Otherwise, see that chicken and rice and everything like that, you'll stick to it for a few weeks, and then before you know it, you're back at square one. Calories, simple, very simple units of energy. Please don't get too caught up in that. I feel like people put calories on this big pedestal. It doesn't need to be there, all right? All you need to remember is that you bring in calories through food and drink, and your body uses it for basic functions, keeping you alive, breathing, brain activity, etc., digesting food, moving around, going to make yourself a coffee, and then supporting and preserving lean body tissue. Not just going to the gym and getting macho Arnold Schwarzenegger, even just moving around. Basic functionality is why you need to retain as much muscle tissue as you possibly can. The $1,000,000 question: how many calories do I need? Now, there's loads of different ways of doing this. You can use technology, you can jump into a calorie calculator, you can use something like MyFitnessPal, or you can jump in and you can jump onto Google and type in calorie calculator. You'll get hundreds of different options. And I actually done a wee test before I came on here as well, and I put in my age, weight, height, activity levels into 5 different calorie calculators, and I got 5 different answers. So that is why it's really important for you to understand that the total calories that you start with are a baseline amount. They are not the exact amount that is suddenly going to create the result that you're after. So just to keep that mega clear, this is a starting point. Again, you can download the app. I like using this method. I think it's a nice way just to kind of get you at a starting point. So if you want to grab yourself a wee calculator, take your current weight in pounds and then times it by either 12, 13 or 14. So this will give you like a reasonable starting point. So I've given you a few examples here. If you're fairly sedentary in terms of like a desk job, you're not really doing too much movement during the day, your steps are fairly low, then you might want to go with 12, moderately active, and then very active up towards 14. When I say very active, I mean like you work in removals or something like that. You're on your feet, you're doing like 20,000 steps a day. That is a physical job, not that you're just making wee Betty a coffee at lunch or whatever. Do you know what I mean? You need to actually be moving and grooving as much as you can there. So again, you can take some time to figure that one out. So all we're doing there is taking your current body weight and then timesing it by 12 or 14. And depending on what your goal is here, depending on what that spits out as a number, is going to dictate how low you try and create a deficit from there. All right, so this person here is weighing in at £150. And they've taken the number 13 because they're moderately active, and they've got 1950 as a baseline in terms of calories. So what we would recommend you do there is take between 200 to 500, depending on how strict you want to make your deficit, because most people will be in this program or in this process to generally lose some sort of weight. So I would probably say to that person, if they want to go fairly aggressive, they would go at maybe 1500. If they want to be fairly kind of in the middle, maybe 1700, and then anything above that would be kind of sitting around sort of maintenance. So you decide what your calorie total is going to be, and then from there we'll use a little bit of test and learn over the next couple of weeks to understand, and that's why we're going to be using our Wednesday check-in to check in and see how's your weight doing, how are things progressing, how are you generally feeling, how's your energy, etc, etc. You can give me a bit of an update and then we can go from there. So that is the plan. Again, just a quick reminder that no calculator or formula is going to spit out the exact perfect number. It is about just testing and learning, and please remember that everyone is different. You've got metabolic differences, muscle mass variations, hormonal factors, genetics, you might be menopausal, you know, there's so many different factors there. So select a calorie total that is actually going to be achievable for you from day number one. Again, as I've mentioned there, don't overthink it. There's no perfect number. Pick one method, start tracking and adjust based on your results. Alright, hopefully that sounds all good. Next time we are going to be talking protein, carbs and fats. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.